You ever been in this spot? I mean, you're a leader, you're all in, and then one day, bam, a major decision comes down from on high. It could be a new direction, a huge budget change, a total restructuring, and you find out about it after the fact. It is such a common and honestly a pretty painful dilemma. So the big question is, what do you do when that happens to you?
And right away, you're stuck, right? It feels like you have two choices, and both of them are bad. If you stay silent, you're kind of just letting an unhealthy process continue. But if you speak up, are you going to get labeled as difficult, as disloyal? It really feels like a no-win situation, but I promise you, it doesn't have to be.
So let's just sit in that scenario for a second. The decision is made. Maybe an email goes out or it's announced in a big meeting. And you, as a subordinate leader, you're just left standing there. Not only do you have to figure out how to execute this new plan, but you're also trying to process the fact that you had absolutely zero say in it.
Look, that feeling of being blindsided, it's almost never just about that one decision. There is so much more going on right under the surface. You start asking all these other questions, don't you? Things like, shouldn't there be a better process for this? Or maybe it hits a little deeper, do they even trust us anymore? Do we even matter? And then there's that internal tug of war between your conscience, which wants to be honest, and your fear, which is terrified of being seen as difficult. These are the real things we're wrestling with.
When you're dealing with all that internal conflict, it is so easy to fall into what I like to call the loyalty trap. These are the super common but really unhealthy ways that our hearts tend to react. Let's take a look at the two big pitfalls we have to avoid.
So on one side, you've got what's called cold disloyalty. This is where you just go silent. You don't say a word out loud, but inside you've completely checked out. You withdraw your heart, you get cynical, you're basically sulking. Then, on the other side, you have hot disloyalty. This one's active. You go find other leaders to complain to, you start building this little quiet we against him. One is passive, the other is active, but let's be clear, both are incredibly destructive to the team and, honestly, to your own soul.
So, okay, if those are the traps to avoid, what's the right way to go? Well, it's this. Real, true loyalty isn't being silent, and it's definitely not stirring up trouble on the side. True loyalty is honest, upward, and respectful engagement. It's about having the courage to take your honest concerns to your leader, not to everybody else.
Now, to really get a handle on how to do this well, we need to look at some of the foundational principles that are supposed to govern this whole relationship. You know, it's this delicate dance between respecting authority and offering wise counsel, and learning that dance is a huge sign of maturity.
First things first, we've got to acknowledge that authority is a real, God-given thing. This verse from Hebrews is a powerful reminder that at the end of the day, the leader is the one who has to answer to God for the organization. They carry that final weight. And that means, sometimes, they're going to make calls we wouldn't have made. Respecting the role is the starting point for everything else.
But, and this is a huge but, authority isn't meant to operate in a vacuum. The Bible is also crystal clear that smart leaders seek out counsel. Why? Because there is safety in it. So, when big decisions are being made over and over again with zero input from the team, it's not wrong to wonder if the process is as wise or as safe as it could be. This is about the health of the whole organization.
And we see this play out all through Scripture. Think about it. Jethro wasn't being a rebel when he told Moses he needed to delegate. Nathan wasn't being disloyal when he confronted King David about his sin. And the early church leaders, they literally changed their whole process in Acts 6 when a legitimate complaint was brought to them. Speaking up isn't automatically wrong. Sometimes it's the most right thing you can do.
So what was the key difference in all those healthy examples? It all came down to one thing: direction. Every single one of them took their concerns to the leader. They didn't start whispering in the hallways and building a faction around the leader. And that, right there, is the line between constructive feedback and destructive division.
All right, so with all those principles rattling around in our heads, let's get super practical. I'm talking about a step-by-step game plan. Here is a 5-step guide for how you can respond in these moments without falling into that disloyalty trap we talked about. Okay, here we go. We're going to walk through these 5 steps. Number 1, you've got to diagnose your own heart. Number 2, you need to separate and categorize the kind of decision we're dealing with. 3, talk upward, never sideways. 4, you have to accept the outcome. And finally, number 5, you've got to refuse to recruit others to your side.
So step 1, and honestly, this is the most important one. You have to start with your own heart. Before you even think about scheduling a meeting, you have to get brutally honest with yourself. What is really fueling this concern? Is it just that my pride is hurt because I wasn't asked? Or is it a genuine deep fear for the health of our mission? Or is this just going to be inconvenient for me personally? Because if your heart is already angry and resentful, the first move isn't a meeting. It's getting your own heart right.
Okay, next up, step 2. You have to figure out what category this decision falls into. Is it actually sinful or abusive? Because if it is, let's be clear, staying quiet isn't loyalty, it's complicity. But most of the time, our frustrations fall into these other two buckets. It's a strategic disagreement, or it's just a difference in style or preference. And once you realize, okay, this isn't a sin issue, it's just a wisdom issue, it completely changes your tone and what you expect to happen.
So when you do decide to talk, you go upward. And here's how. You start by just acknowledging their authority. You share what you're seeing as helpful input, not as an accusation. You could say something like, hey, just wanted to give you a perspective from our team. Some of us felt a little blindsided by this. You offer suggestions, not demands. The goal here isn't to win a fight. The goal is to offer a perspective that makes the whole team and the whole process stronger.
Now we get to what is probably the hardest part. Step 4. After you've had your say, respectfully and humbly, you have to accept the outcome. The leader might not change their mind. They might not change their process. And this, right here, is the true test of your character. Can you get behind a decision you don't totally love, as long as it isn't sinful, without letting bitterness take root? That is what mature leadership looks like.
And that brings us to the final step, step 5, which is all about protecting unity. You have to draw a clear line in the sand and just decide, once and for all, I will not be that person whispering in the corners. I will not be the one who gathers other frustrated people around me. That one decision right there can stop you from becoming a source of division.
So let's pull all these threads together. We've got to move past this simple idea of just speak up or stay quiet. We need a much stronger, more robust definition of loyalty. Let's call it what it is, loyalty with backbone.
So let's get this crystal clear. Loyalty is not quiet hypocrisy and gossip. It is not building a little we versus him culture. And it's definitely not fear that you try to dress up to look like concern. No. True loyalty is speaking up humbly and directly. It's supporting the final decision, even if you disagreed. It is that powerful, rare combination of both honor and honesty. So here it is. Here's a clear, actionable definition for you. Loyalty with backbone is the ability to speak up humbly, directly, and with honor. And then to be able to pivot and support whatever decision is made as long as it isn't sinful. That's the bullseye. That's what we're aiming for. And to make this a reality, you need a new script that you play in your own head. Instead of letting frustration just bubble up, you have to consciously tell yourself this. When I have concerns, I'm committed to going to my leader, not around him. And if I don't get my way, I will still choose unity over murmuring. I'm telling you, that little script is a complete game changer for your own spirit.
You see, ultimately, the goal here is a total transformation in how you lead. It's moving from being one of two things, either a silent, bitter follower or a loud, divisive critic, and becoming something so much better, so much more valuable. You become a loyal, mature leader who has the capacity to carry deep honor for authority and courageous honesty about the process, all in the same heart. And that's really the final question I want to leave you with. It's not about picking one or the other. It's about developing the character and the maturity to hold both of those things at the same time. Can you be the kind of leader who brings both honor and honesty to the table? Because the health of your team and really your own integrity, it all depends on it.